You feel invisible. You show up every day, but no one sees your value. You build in silence, but still get overlooked. You deliver more, but earn less. And every time someone with less skill, less discipline, less depth gets the position, the raise, the spotlight, a part of you dies inside. You start questioning yourself, your identity, your worth, your path. You think, what am I doing wrong? Why don't they see what I bring? Why do I keep getting passed over? The answer isn't external, it's internal. You're not missing talent, you're missing posture. You're not lacking ability, you're lacking presence. You haven't been rejected, you've been unread. And today, that ends. Because professional recognition doesn't come from begging, pleasing, or hoping. It comes from becoming undeniable. And that requires a full transformation, not of your skills, of your frame. Napoleon Hill said that definiteness of purpose, backed by burning desire and unwavering faith, is the root of all achievement. That includes being seen, that includes being respected, that includes becoming a man the market cannot ignore. But first, you must understand why they don't see you, because right now, you still act like you need permission. You wait to be chosen. You tolerate being overlooked. You shrink when you should lead. You ask when you should enforce. And the world, the market, doesn't reward potential. It rewards posture. So from this moment on, you stop acting like a second-class contributor. You stop begging for recognition. You start becoming the man who walks into the room and recalibrates the energy, not with ego, with certainty, not with noise, with presence, not with demand, with unshakable self-perception. That's how professional recognition begins. It's not given, it's installed, and it's installed through repetition, structure, discipline, and refusal to collapse in the face of ignorance, because they will ignore you until they can't. And you build that inevitability by becoming a machine of value and control. You no longer show up hoping someone sees you. You show up because you see yourself fully, clearly, powerfully. And from that posture, your energy changes. You speak less, but when you speak, they lean in. You don't volunteer everything. You protect your time. You don't chase assignments. You choose them. You become the most grounded man in every space, because groundedness is magnetic. You move with intent. You make decisions without asking permission. You build like a leader before the title ever arrives, and eventually they have no choice but to respond. Because when a man commands himself, he naturally begins to command the room. But it starts with you. You have to look at yourself and say, I'm done hiding. I'm done waiting. I'm done downplaying my ability to make others comfortable. Your life changes the moment you stop trying to be liked and start moving like a force. That force is built through action. You stop tolerating mediocrity. You raise your standards. You fix your posture. You dress like someone who owns his decisions. You speak like someone who means every word. You operate like someone who no longer needs approval, and your environment responds. Suddenly, they start asking for your input. Your decisions hold weight. Your absence feels heavy. That's recognition. Not because you asked for it, because you enforced it. Comment below. What part of your identity will you now reinforce to become the man they cannot ignore? Then share this video. Another man out there is waiting to be seen when all he needs is to stand up and take space. Then like this video, let it mark the day you moved from permission to posture, and subscribe, because what comes next will install the daily discipline that makes professional recognition not optional, but inevitable. You've begun to shift from invisibility to intention, from waiting to walking in, but intention alone is not enough. Professional recognition is not built on single moments of clarity. It's built on relentless alignment. You cannot earn respect from the world until you enforce respect in your own systems. And that begins with one principle. Consistency breeds credibility. You don't get recognized for what you occasionally show, you get recognized for what you constantly deliver. Napoleon Hill said that the man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does. But you don't over-deliver for applause. You do it because excellence is now your identity. An identity is reinforced in repetition. Every single day, you wake up and execute, not based on emotion, but based on standard. You don't wait to feel inspired. You start the system. Cold water, stillness, focus. You eliminate distractions before they have time to steal. You set your intentions not based on tasks, but based on outcomes. You don't just fill the calendar, you dominate it. You show up to meetings prepared, focused, silent until your input is required. And when you speak, you own the tone, not by force, by control. That control comes from inner alignment. The world feels your energy because you've trained it. You don't react, you respond. You don't rush, you direct. And every time you do, you earn another piece of recognition. Not the kind you see, the kind that builds silently in the minds of those around you. He's different. He's locked in. He's the one we call when pressure's high. That's the kind of reputation you're building now. One meeting, one project, one delivery at a time. And that delivery must always carry your signature, precision, professionalism, posture. You don't gossip. You don't collapse. You don't participate in panic. You rise above it with structure, because your emotional clarity is now part of your value. People don't just trust your work, they trust your stability, and that stability comes from inner ritual. Not just your mornings, your evenings, your midday reset, your recovery, your preparation. You have now become a system, and systems scale. That's how recognition multiplies. You are not asking for opportunity, you are becoming the obvious option. But to sustain it, you must stay sharp, because the higher you rise, the more they watch, the more they expect. And if you don't reinforce your energy, you will burn out trying to keep up with perception. That's why you train harder now, in silence. You read when others scroll. You rehearse when others complain. You refine when others relax. Because the man who is recognized is the man who stays ready, not the man who prepares only when asked. You no longer explain your ambition. You embody it in your tone, your time, your decisions, and most importantly, your discipline. Because discipline is now your signature. The world sees it and respects it. Comment below, what habit are you now reinforcing to make your discipline part of your professional reputation? Then share this video. Let another man realize that recognition isn't given, it's trained. Then like this video. Let it seal the moment your excellence became non-negotiable, and subscribe, because in the next part, we install the mindset that makes you unshakable even when others try to ignore what you've become. Now that you've begun enforcing discipline, now that your system is being recognized, you face the next barrier, resistance. Because once the world starts to see you, it will also start to test you. Some won't like your growth, some will try to minimize it, others will act like it's not real. They'll ignore you, not because you're not valuable, but because you're becoming undeniable. And undeniable men trigger the insecure, they shine light on weakness, they expose the lazy, they set a standard that others don't want to meet, so they gossip, they withhold credit, they try to bury the proof of your evolution. Let them. You don't fight it, you fuel from it. Napoleon Hill said that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, and this is the benefit. You rise through resistance. You don't fold. You don't flinch. You double down. Because recognition built through noise is unstable. Recognition built through pressure is permanent. So when they test you, you perform better. When they ignore you, you sharpen harder. When they question you, you over-deliver. Silently, No drama, no explanation, just results. And results, when repeated, build a wall they cannot climb. That wall becomes your reputation. They'll deny you until your excellence becomes too consistent to ignore. That's how professionals win, not through volume, through repetition. That repetition must now touch everything. The way you speak, the way you write, the way you manage time, the way you handle conflict. Every pattern must now match your professional ambition. You no longer multitask, you prioritize. You no longer wing it, you prepare. You no longer fake calm, you train for pressure. This is how recognition becomes inevitable. You don't just work harder, you work cleaner, with more structure, more silence, more posture. People feel it. Your team shifts, your boss watches, your network adjusts, not because you demanded it, but because your standard made comfort impossible. You are now a thermostat, not a thermometer. You set the tone, you lead the energy. That's power, and power isn't handed out. It's installed through years of precision in how you think, move, and deliver. Comment below. What pressure are you now using to reinforce your long-term professional recognition? Then share this video. Another man is questioning himself when all he needs is to keep repeating the discipline. Then, like this video, let it mark the day you turned resistance into reputation, and subscribe. Because in the next part, we bring the stoic mindset, how to operate without emotion when your value is being tested. They've seen you rise. They've felt your presence shift. They've watched your patterns evolve. Now they want to know one thing. Will you break? Will you collapse under pressure, under silence, under indifference? Because most men do. Most men panic when recognition is delayed. Most men collapse when applause goes quiet. But you are not most men. You've trained for this. This silence. You own it, this resistance. You use it, this lack of praise. You convert it into power. Napoleon Hill taught that faith is the foundation of all miracles. But faith is not just belief, it's behavior. And behavior under pressure reveals everything. You don't act for recognition, you act from conviction. Conviction in your standard, conviction in your mission, conviction in your identity. Because identity is the only foundation strong enough to outlast emotional storms. If your identity is built on validation, you will fold. If your identity is built on execution, you will dominate. That's the pivot. That's the shift. You no longer work to be seen. You work because that's who you are. And because of that, you operate above emotion. You don't chase fairness, you chase finish lines. You don't chase attention, you chase excellence. You don't complain about outcomes, you construct better systems. That's stoic dominance, not numbness, direction, not coldness, control. Not suppression, clarity. You now control what most men allow to control them: emotion, reactivity, insecurity. And because you've chosen to lead with structure, you rise above. Not with noise, with calibration. You're sharp even when overlooked. You're composed even when tested. You're focused even when surrounded by drama. Because you've stopped performing, you've started producing. And the market will always respect the producer, even if it takes time, even if it takes tension, even if it takes silence. Your job now is to keep reinforcing your frame through habits, through rituals, through refusal to let anyone shake what you've enforced. That's power, and power is built in how you walk, how you breathe, how you speak, not just in what you do. You now embody authority without needing permission. Comment below, where are you choosing structure over emotion to solidify your professional presence? Then share this video. Another man is collapsing in silence, waiting to be seen, when all he needs is to outlast the noise. Then like this video. Let it lock in your decision to lead through behavior, not emotion, and subscribe. Because in the next part, we bring elite clarity. How to eliminate the distractions that still sabotage your recognition. You're locked in now. Your emotions no longer lead your schedule. Your results are no longer reactions. Your structure has become non-negotiable. But now comes the next level, eliminating every distraction that's still stealing pieces of your recognition. Because distractions don't always look like noise. Sometimes they look like urgency, like people, like obligations. But anything that pulls you out of discipline is a threat. Napoleon Hill said that drifting, the state of indecision, of mental laziness, of surrender to impulse, is the death of greatness. And drifting is what keeps powerful men invisible. You've already done the work. You've built the edge. But if you keep letting low-level inputs steal high-level output, you stay capped. So now you cut ruthlessly. Distractions, no matter how disguised, are enemies of recognition. Every just checking in text that pulls your rhythm, cut it. Every open tab that derails your task, close it. Every unnecessary meeting that drains your mind, cancel it, because your value is directly tied to how often you protect your peak energy. And that energy must now serve only what builds you. You start curating your inputs like a warrior. Your feeds, your food, your focus. Nothing enters without purpose. You no longer wake up to noise. You wake up to intention, to silence, to structure. You don't check messages, you check the mission. You don't check likes, you check execution. Because likes don't lead to legacy, discipline does. And that discipline is built in moments. 10 minutes of clarity is worth more than 2 hours of distraction. 1 hour of focused work is worth more than an entire day of fragmented attempts. That's the level now. You don't just work. You dominate a time block like a sniper, locked in, undisturbed, relentless. And people notice, because most professionals are busy but ineffective. You are now still but surgical. Your silence is no longer absence. It's focus. It's preparation. It's where your edge sharpens while others waste theirs, and that sharpness shows up everywhere. In your delivery, in your tone, in your posture, they feel it. And slowly, your name begins to rise, not because you begged for it, because your output became too excellent to ignore. That's what discipline does. It makes noise unnecessary. You no longer promote, you perform. You no longer sell your value, you embody it, and that embodiment must now be protected with military precision. No more tolerance for drama, for gossip, for anything that dilutes the signal you've been building. Your clarity is your currency. Your calendar is your contract. Your time is your signature. And you guard all of it like a soldier. Because now, you're not just becoming recognized, you're becoming rare. And rarity requires separation. Separation from distraction, from dilution, from dependency. That's how professional recognition becomes your baseline, not your breakthrough. Comment below. What distraction are you eliminating today to protect the level of recognition you've earned through discipline? Then share this video. Another man is being drained by invisible noise, and your silence could be his permission to cut it off. Then like this video, let it be your stamp. The moment you chose focus over everything, and subscribe, because in the next part, you'll install presence. The final key to commanding a room without saying a word. You've cleared the noise, you've cut the distractions, you've locked in the system. Now comes the true separator, presence. Because talent without presence gets ignored. Discipline without presence gets overlooked. And most men, even after mastering skills, fail to master presence. Napoleon Hill said that definiteness of purpose with applied faith generates influence, but influence is not what you say. It's how people feel when you show up. That's presence, and presence is built in silence, in structure, in certainty. When you walk into a room, you don't announce anything. You don't seek attention. You carry it in your stillness, in your calm, in your eye contact, in your posture, because the man who moves from deep purpose doesn't chase validation. He commands energy, but that energy is not emotional. It's aligned. It's precise. It's dangerous because it cannot be manipulated. You say little, but everything you say lands. You move little, but every move matters. That's presence, not performance, not volume, but vibration. People feel that you're clear, and they respond to clarity faster than charisma, because clarity calms chaos, and chaos is everywhere. But you don't react. You anchor, you guide, you stay composed when others collapse. That's why you start to stand out without trying. You don't hustle for recognition. You embody a frequency that demands it. And the more you enforce that frequency, the more leadership starts to follow you. You begin to realize you don't need permission to lead. You've earned it by repetition, by posture, by holding the line when it was easier to fold. So now, your presence must scale with your vision. Every meeting, every project, every room, you walk in with unspoken clarity. And it spreads, because the world doesn't follow noise, it follows order. And you are now a system of order. That's professional gravity. And you maintain it by protecting three things: your energy, your attention, your word. If one slips, you lose the edge. So you stay vigilant. You speak less, but your word is law. You don't explain, you decide. You don't guess, you prepare. And in that preparation, you build a legacy. Because people will forget your titles, but they will never forget how you made the room feel. Comment below. What element of your presence are you now refining to become undeniable without saying a word? Then share this video. Let another man feel the power of leading in silence. Then like this video, let it anchor your energy so presence becomes your new normal. And subscribe, because in the next part you'll master identity, how to become the man you respect, and how that makes the world respect you in return. Now that your identity is enforced, now that you move from conviction, not convenience, it's time to install the system, the structure that protects everything. Because identity without reinforcement is vulnerable. It decays in chaos. It weakens under pressure. It collapses when routine breaks. Napoleon Hill said, "That environment is stronger than willpower. So you must design one that makes collapse impossible." You now build a fortress, not around you, within you. A rhythm, a discipline, a set of rules that you obey no matter how you feel. Your mornings are non-negotiable. Your planning is surgical. Your habits are enforced like law. Because these rituals are no longer preferences, they are protection. Protection from emotion, from distraction, from the version of you who still wants comfort. You wake up to silence, to breath, to structure. You control the first hour, because the first hour controls the rest. You don't scroll, you don't react. You don't allow the world in until you've built your frame. Then your work, you attack it with precision. Deep work blocks, no noise, no drift, no interruption. And when you close each window of work, you pause, you breathe, you reset. Because resetting is how you stay sharp without burnout. You don't chase intensity, you train consistency. And that consistency becomes your edge. While others chase motivation, you chase execution. While others wait to feel ready, you're already locked in. Your schedule is now sacred because it reflects the man you've built. You guard it, you clean it, you optimize it weekly. This is how performance becomes automatic, not through hype, through hygiene. Mental hygiene, habit hygiene, execution hygiene. Every element of your day now supports the version of you that cannot be ignored, and that support creates space. Space for scale, because now you can handle more without folding. You can lead more without overreacting. You can perform more without collapsing. That's what this system does. It doesn't just protect you, it prepares you for opportunity, for pressure, for leadership, and others begin to notice, not because you talk about it, because your behavior never breaks. You've built something most men don't even believe is possible, a version of you that shows up no matter what. Comment below, what new system are you now enforcing to protect the identity you've finally built? Then share this video. Another man is close, but he still lives by mood, not structure. Let this be his code. Then like this video. Let it be the anchor that seals your new life, and subscribe. Because in the next part, we unlock full presence. How to own every room without ever needing to prove anything. You've enforced identity. You've installed the system. You've eliminated distractions. Now comes the final visible layer. Presence, not performance, not noise, not persuasion. Pure presence, because presence is the invisible force that earns the respect others try to beg for. Napoleon Hill said that the man who has definiteness of purpose walks with confidence that makes others listen. You've earned that confidence. Now you carry it. You don't enter a room to be noticed. You enter it and energy shifts. Not because you speak loud, but because your stillness commands attention. You listen more than you talk. You pause more than you rush. You choose every word like. It's a strategy. That's power. That's what makes people lean in, because when a man is certain, he doesn't need to convince. He simply exists with posture, your eye contact, your breath, your tone, your rhythm. It all speaks before your voice does. This is what separates the leader from the noise. Presence is not about being liked. It's about being respected, and respect is built on consistency. You've shown them you don't break routines, you don't chase clout, you don't operate on impulse. So now, they listen. Even if they don't clap, they watch. Even if they don't like you, they study you. Even if they don't understand, they remember, because presence is unforgettable, and it's built in silence, in repetition, in days and nights of structure. When others slept in, you got up. When others needed praise, you needed purpose. When others drifted, you stayed aligned. That's the story your presence tells now. And the best part, you never have to explain it. Let others talk. Let others pose. You'll keep showing up like a man who needs no reminder of who he is. Comment below, what shift are you now making to turn your energy into unshakable presence? Then share this video. Another man is talking louder when he really needs to get still. Then like this video, let it be your signal that presence is now your leadership tool, and subscribe, because in the final part, we lock everything and show you how to lead forever without ever asking for recognition again. This is it, the final seal. You've built identity, you've enforced structure, you've commanded presence, and now you lock it in, not for a season, for life, because recognition is no longer a desire, it's a result of who you are, not who you hope to be. Napoleon Hill said that true power comes from organized knowledge, expressed through intelligent action. And you are now that expression, not sometimes, every day, every room, every decision. You don't perform, you embody, you don't chase, you command. And the recognition that once felt distant is now inevitable. Not because the world changed, because you did. You killed the boy who needed to be seen. You buried the man who needed approval. You built a system, a standard, a posture that makes being ignored impossible. Because now you lead. Not from noise, from silence, not from fear, from structure, not from emotion, from control. That control is your legacy. It's the echo you leave in every room, the shift in tone when you walk in, the respect that doesn't need to be spoken. Because when you operate from internal authority, external recognition becomes automatic, not because you want it, because you outwork it, outdiscipline it, out-repeat it. You've built a machine of impact, and now you scale it into your career, into your family, into your mission. No more shrinking, no more waiting, no more hoping. From now on, you build, you show up, you lead, without needing titles, without needing applause, without needing reminders, because this is who you are now. Comment below, what part of your structure will you protect for life? To keep your recognition non-negotiable? Then share this video. Another man is still begging to be seen when he needs to be built. Then like this video. Let it be your final stamp, the moment recognition became your default. And subscribe, Because this journey never ends, it only deepens. You are now a leader, a standard, a signal, forever.